Welcome to another episode of the Arkansas Football Recruiting Report. I'm Wim O'Clair. He's Otis Kirk. Otis, we've got a bunch to talk about this week. What are we talking about? SEC Media Days, everybody's favorite week of the year. Is it fair to say football is back?
Yeah, it is. I think every year when it kind of, you're waiting for football, and then all of a sudden media day gets here, and then all of a sudden it's football.
I
It's just
know.
the way it is, man. I mean, it's kind of the way it is. It's just it's that time, and people are ready for it. It's going to be an interesting year. I've seen predictions all over the map for Arkansas, from lucky to win 6 games up to 9, 10, 11 wins. So, I don't believe they'll be. I saw a post today, maybe a tweet on, or it might have been a post on Facebook or on message, or a tweet on Twitter, but said it'd be fortunate to win 6 games. I don't think Arkansas would be fortunate to win 6. I think they'll win 6 or more, and I don't think they'll be fortunate to win 6. I think they can easily win 6, but I don't think they'll be winning 11 games either. So we'll see what happens. There's a pretty good area in between 6 and 11.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how it all shakes out. It's always interesting to see who all the teams bring, what comes up. Always some fun topics. Let's get into Sam Pittman first. What do you think the most impactful thing he said was?
Man, I loved it when he one guy took forever to ask a question. I mean, he went on and on and on, and then finally Sam goes, "Was that a question?" I mean, the guy asked the question. It's like, you don't take forever to ask a question, but he did. And Sam goes, "Was that a question?" And then somebody asked him about Oklahoma, and Sam goes into this deal about the Tulsa World. I didn't understand what was going on. I think Sam misunderstood the guy because he's talking about the Tulsa World, and the guy's asking about the Oklahoma Sooners. So it was funny. That's just Sam, but it was funny. But yeah, it was cool. I mean, he brings a lot. I mean, he's not dull. Some of those coaches get up there, and you almost have to get an energy drink or something to stay awake when they're talking. But not Sam. He keeps you interested the whole time.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin looked like he was at a high stakes casino. It was pretty funny.
Yeah,
Sam Pittman's playlist.
Man, he looked wow. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw the picture the first time. I was like, "Oh, this guy birthday 8." Looks like his 17-year-old daughter dressed him. It was funny. It was a good one. Otis, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, I saw the little Twitter notification pop up on my phone. I believe it was Courtney's tweet. Landon Jackson, 50+ pounds. I clicked on the photo and I was like, "Oh my God." I mean, the kid was enormous last year, but now he's a wall.
Yeah, 2 things when he came to Arkansas that had affected him at LSU was he couldn't put on weight really, and he couldn't stay healthy. And he's done both at Arkansas, obviously, and he's the player we all knew he could become. He was one of the best high school players down at his high school that I've ever seen, Will. But when he was in high school, had Arkansas a million schools after him, but he chose LSU. But he didn't really feel as comfortable there. He had family at Arkansas, in the Arkansas area. I think Arkansas was down at the time with Chad, and he just didn't really want to come here then. But with Sam, as soon as he went in the portal, I think it's a pretty easy decision for Landon to come here. But yeah, that was the biggest thing, is he couldn't stay healthy, and he wasn't big enough at LSU, but he is taking care of both those aspects here at Arkansas. He is primed to have a really good season. I really look for him to, I didn't see him on the preseason all SEC teams, but I think he's one. Him, Chris Paul, whatever, and some of those guys can be on this postseason SEC team if they play like I think they will.
Yeah, absolutely. We had Chris Paul in studio before the season last year. I don't know if you've ever met him in person. He is such a good kid. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that I'm a fan of any player in the position that I'm in, but he is. If he has a great season, I will be an even larger fan of his. Landon Jackson, he can't be the only one that's put on weight with the new strength and conditioning coach. Do you think there's going to be anybody else at fall camp that shocks us with their size?
Well, not so much that. Well, I mean that, but one thing that shocked me was back in the spring when Marion Harris and Devon Manuel. I'm not sure how you pronounce his first name, but when they came out, they had lost about 80 pounds, and I mean, when I went down to when Marion committed to Arkansas, Marion Harris, when he committed to Arkansas, I went down to his press conference, and he was just huge, man. I mean, he was pushing 400, Will.
Yep.
I mean, this kid played both ways in high school.
Wow.
And he was pushing 400 playing both ways in that heat. And this was during the summer, but it wasn't long until the fall. But he and Manuel have done just the opposite, but they needed to. And I mean, it was amazing. But yeah, I think you'll see I think they said the Rockets put on 10 pounds, maybe. I mean, Rocket and KJ, when you look at them, sitting there with them in the room, in the interview room or something, you're thinking, man, if those guys ran over me, it'd take an hour for me to get my pieces of body back together. I mean, those guys are huge, and they're quarterback and a running back. I mean, they make my body hurt just to think of getting out there trying to tackle one of those two kids.
Yeah,
but
we do a lot of Will Tries It here at the Pig Trail Nation. If you haven't seen it, there's a good golf series on the tube, and we also did a pitching one with Shanice Dallas where I got 10 pitches and I tried to make contact. Somebody in the Twitterverse threw out the idea of Will running routes with KJ with coverage. I'm going to pass on that one. I think I would die as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, I would not want Al Walcott or Clark or one of those guys, to smack me around.
No,
that would kill me. Yeah. I can see or Pooh and Walcott sandwich.
No. No. The last thing I need is a 27 flying at me. No, I do not. I do not need that. I do not need that. But Rocket Sanders also definitely putting on some weight, not as noticeable as Landon. He had a bunch of good thing to say as well. Is there anything that stood out to you?
Who's that?
Rocket.
I like the fact that he and KJ downplayed the fact that they're the best 1-2 combo at their positions in the SEC, the country, which they probably are. I think they are, but no team has a better combo than those two. But I like the fact they're a little humble about it, and that's typical Rocket and KJ. They're not. Never been one to really toot their own horn that much, you know what I mean? But I just felt like that. The thing I liked about Rock is he talked about his increased leadership, and I think it may have been Coach Pittman was saying that AJ Green is the other running back who's really picked up his leadership with, and I've had debates with reporters, and it's like 6 of one and a half dozen the other, but I've always felt like AJ, and I don't mean this. Well, I'll just say it. I mean, it doesn't matter what I think. I've always felt like AJ was the second best running back, and Rashad was right there behind him at number 3. Most of the ones I've talked to felt like Rashad Dubinion was number 2 and AJ Green was number 3. But there's something about AJ that I really like, man, at running back. And I like both of them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they showed that in the bowl game, the fact that neither kid started. Rashad got offensive player of the game, and AJ got 99 yards rush. So they're both very good. But I'm just saying, there's something about AJ. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. I'll tell you what it is about AJ that I really like is when he got on the corner in the bowl game. Did you see that 20-yard run? I mean, he smoked Kansas. I mean, it looked like, and Luke Hayes' mother messaged me and said he did that to Luke and Dylan too. I mean, he can do that. He's got that outstanding speed. I don't think he used it like maybe he should on the kick returner. You don't see it there. He runs more straight there, but I feel like if he ever got in clear, there's nobody gonna catch AJ. But that 20-yard run was so typical of this potential he's got with his speed. So I like it. As far as the other, I don't know what any kid needed to gain that much weight as much to answer your question as much as Landon did, but I'm sure a bunch of them have put on to 10 to 20 pound range. But I think the extremes though were Landon putting on that much and Devon and Imarian losing that much. Devin.
Yeah.
Because Devin
Landon Jackson looked like a different human being.
Yeah, well, yeah, he did, but he needed to. But he's a kid that, as I said, I really think he and Chris Poopaw, you had McLaughlin on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if there was any other. I don't think there was another. No, there wasn't another defensive player because the other was offensive lineman Brady Latham, and then of course Rocket and KJ. But so McLaughlin was the only one on there on defense. But I think Poopaw And I tell you what, don't be surprised if Walcott gets on some all-conference team.
Oof.
He didn't practice this spring because of an injury, but he was outstanding at Baylor. And Al Walcott is one to watch at safety or nickel. Pupal at linebacker and Landon at defensive end. I think those are some kids to really watch for all conference, along with, of course, Dwight McLaughlin.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
Quincy McAdoo's not able to play because he would definitely be in the talk as well.
Yeah. There's been some talk about Quincy. Obviously, Sam was asked about him at media days. Do you think we'll see him back in a Razorback jersey at some point?
I do. I don't.
It didn't sound 100%. I'm very optimistic that we will.
I think so. I mean, but I don't know the extent. I know what his injury was, but there's extents to just like any injury. And when you start dealing with the back, you're really touched, man. You're dealing with some sensitive areas there. You want to be careful with that. So that's the hesitant. That's why I would never say it's 100% he'll be back. I think he will, but I don't know the extent of his back injury to that degree. Because there, as I said, there are extents. I was in a wreck myself and had the vertebrae issues and stuff, and you know.
How old were you when you got into a wreck?
Well, I wasn't that old then. I was probably. I've had a wreck up here since then, but wasn't that. I got my car totaled out by a U of A student who was on the phone. But this was back in my old hometown. I probably wasn't over 35, maybe.
Okay.
30s, mid 30s, maybe not even that. I was probably in my mid 30s, and I mean maybe early 30s, late 20s. I wasn't old.
Yeah.
And a lady ran, actually the person I bought furniture from owned the furniture store there, one of the furniture stores in my old hometown. She ran a stop sign and wiped me out and messed up my back. And I had two pushed together. That's what mine were.
Oh my
and
God.
Yeah. So that's a sensitive issue. And I still have back issues. So that is a sensitive issue. And like I said, I wasn't old at the time. I mean, it's easy to say, well, he's an old man, no wonder he has back issues, but I wasn't old then. I was older than Quincy, but not that much. Maybe 5 to 10 years older than Quincy when he had his wreck.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that's tough.
I wasn't old then. So, I mean, it was back before I ever moved up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Otis, we still got to talk a little KJ. Second team All SEC. Do you think he got snubbed?
You know, if it was anybody but Daniels, I'd say yes. But, and I think KJ's better than Daniels. But I do think I think KJ and Daniels are two of the best quarterbacks in the country. I don't put Rogers in there from Mississippi State. He's good. I don't put him in the elite that I do Daniels and KJ. I won't say he got snubbed. I think KJ could have very easily have been number one. If I'd have voted, I wasn't at media day, but if I had been, I'd voted for KJ. But Daniels, I don't have an issue with. I mean, if that makes sense. He's pretty dang good. He didn't play well against Arkansas, and that was the game where one of the games where KJ didn't play. The other one was against Will Rogers and Mississippi State that KJ didn't play. But I think Daniels, I don't have an issue with him getting first team. I would have rather seen KJ, and I would have voted for KJ. But Daniels, I have no issue with. To answer your question, Will.
Yeah.
He's good. He really
absolutely.
is.
Did you hear anything else from KJ that stood out to you? I know there was so much said.
He talked about the offense being slower, not the fast pace with Enos. He feels like what I took from it.
Do you think he means slower, or do you think he's saying that it feels slower?
Yeah, I think it's more. I think really what I thought I took away from it was the fact that he feels like this. I think he feels like this offense will prepare him more for the NFL than the other one did. I think he feels like this pro style stuff is some stuff that I think there's some stuff there. He said you have to watch more film with this. I did pick up on that. He said you had to watch more film. Those kids watch a lot of film no matter who the coach is. But I know BA stood out with Dan Enos. I mean, he had that 2015 season, which is unreal. That's the one that Sam points to a lot. It's one of the reasons he hired Enos, because they had that big offense in 2015. I tell you what, I know you weren't here then, Will, but there was a back-to-back game where BA went against the quarterback from Ole Miss one week, and him went against Dak Prescott from Mississippi State the next week. And you talk about two shootouts, and Arkansas won one of them and lost one. But that was back-to-back shootouts, man. That was some wild offensive games there with Mississippi, Ole Miss at Ole Miss, and then Mississippi State. And BA just put on a show those games, and it's seven touchdown passes, not catches. 7 touchdown passes against Mississippi State here in Razorback Stadium. 4, I believe, went to the tight ends, I believe, or 5, and then a couple of, I think Drew Morgan may have caught one. I don't remember who else caught one. I think Drew Morgan caught one. I know Sprinkle and Hudson Henry Hunter Henry. I get too many Henrys. Hunter Henry and Jeremy Sprinkle have big games. As soon as I said Hudson, I'm thinking that's not right. Hunter Henry and Jeremy Sprinkle had had a huge game at night. Caught a bunch of passes from BA against Prescott and Mississippi State. Arkansas should have won that game. They played for a field goal late in the game when they shouldn't have done that, because there was no sacks on the night. Allen had not been sacked, and he had no interceptions and 7 touchdown passes. You don't play for a field goal in that situation, and Arkansas did, and it cost them the game. Even if that field goal had been good, there was like 46 seconds to go. They would have been ahead by 2. Mississippi State could have driven down the field, kicked the field goal, and still beat them. So I never agreed with that decision. So, but that's my 2 cents.
Absolutely. Otis, for the fans who don't know, how far away are we from fall camp now?
Oh, what is it? Days. I mean,
I said for the fans that don't know, I wanted to know as well.
Yeah, I think
football is here. I'm excited.
About a week and a half away. I mean, it's here. Yeah, it's here.
We're so ready.
I'll say this: next Sunday will be the last time we do a show before football. I feel confident in saying that. I have not heard the exact date that they start, but I know we will have a show here next Sunday. And then the following Sunday will be after they have started football practice. I feel pretty sure about that.
Yeah, we've made it.
Yeah. Well, almost. I know they will. I mean, we're talking about the 6th or 7th of August by then. Yeah, Lord, they'll be practicing in because they play the 2nd of September over in Little Rock.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Otis, we really appreciate you having on. Fun as always. Thank you so much for giving us time on your Sunday. And that's all the time we got. We're going to go to break. More Pig Trail Show after this.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate you, man.